Welcome! In this video we're going to talk about projectiles. So in the TIC-80 Create tab, make sure you are logged in and let's load up lesson 5. And escape to edit it. Let's change it to lesson 6. This is going to be projectiles. I'm going to go ahead and save before I forget. Alright, so now we are going to need some more costumes. Let's go to our sprite editor, little ghost. Make sure that we are in the foreground tile area. If you have some time, you might think about making some more costumes for your main character, some animations. Right now, I'm just going to go down here and make kind of a little slime thing. Maybe like, anyway, make something cool. And then I might animate that later. So this is going to be my projectile that my character is going to throw. I noticed that it is at number 320. So I'm going to make sure that I remember that for when I am coding. All right, so in your code editor, we're going to add another section. I'm calling mine slime. You can call it projectile, you can call it whatever your projectile is, but it's going to be set up very similar to Blobby with a couple little differences. So we are going to need an X value. And our X value for the slime, I'm going to have start out at 0, just like Blobby. That's Y, and the same for the Y. And then I want what's called a flag. And a flag is just something that can either be true or false, and we set it to be the value that makes sense for what we're trying, what's happening. So in this case, the flag is, I'm going to call it active and say it's false first. And that just means, do I have a slime made? So right now, no. And then as soon as Blobby throws a slime, I'm going to set this flag to true so that I know that a slime has already been made and I'm not going to allow myself to do another slime. Later, when we talk more about tables and doing multiple sprites on the screen, we might do this a little bit differently. But for now, this is going to work pretty well. Okay, so we have our table has an end. That looks good. Okay, and then in my TIC function, make a little more space there. In my TIC function, I've moved Blobby and checked Blobby's limits. And then I'm going to check for a throw sprite. So this will be either check if a certain button has been pressed so that the sprite will be made, or if we have a sprite on the screen, then that sprite will move. Okay, so it'll do all of that. All right, so let's go ahead and make that throw sprite function. Before we do that, one thing that I think is pretty helpful is if you have multiple functions, it can, when you're scrolling, you can lose sight of where you are. So we talked before about using this menu to get around. You can also, so I'm in the, this is the move Blobby function. If I scroll slowly, and I found using the middle mouse button scroll wheel to scroll is much easier than using the trackpad. I was having a lot of trouble with the trackpad just going really fast. Okay, so here I like to add a comment that says the name of the function that says, so it's like the end of move Blobby. And then down here in check limits, I would do a comment that says end of check limits. I just realized that I called my function the wrong name. I meant throw slime, not throw sprite. So, okay, so now I'm going to make a function called throw slime way at the bottom here after check limits. So function throw slime. I'll put in my end so I don't forget that later. So in this function, I want to, let's see, so if there's a slime, I want it to move. If there's not a slime and I press the button that I want to use to make the slime, then I want to throw the slime, like create a new slime at the right spot. So if Blobby is moving to the right, I want to throw the slime, like I want to create the slime at the right-hand side of Blobby, and if he's moving to the left, I want to create it at the left-hand side of Blobby, and then the slime should outdistance Blobby. It looks a little weird. I guess we'll try this first, and you can see what it looks like. So if Blobby and the slime have the same velocity, it looks like Blobby is chasing the slime. This looks funny. So what I want to do is actually have the slime be a little bit faster. But we'll try it with the same first, and then we'll fix that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add in some comments in here for the different things that we're going to think about, and then I'll come back and we'll do them step by step. All right, so the sections that I have here, there's two main sections. There's if the slime exists, then we're going to do some stuff. And if the slime doesn't exist, then we're going to do some other stuff. All right, so we're going to actually start with if the slime doesn't exist so that we can see how the slime is made. And then we'll come back here and say, okay, if it already exists, then this is what's going to happen. So this is going to be an if here. And then this is going to be an else if here. And then we will have an end of our if else if structure, and then an end of our throw slime function. All right, so for my if, the way to tell if a slime exists is to look at that flag that we created, the active flag. So if slime dot active, now here I could say if slime.active equals true, and that would be totally fine. And if that makes sense to you, do that. I will tell you that the equals true is not necessary because this value is already true or false. And so this if is looking for is something true or something false. And this value is already true. So it's saying if this is true, and you could like make it easier for humans to understand by doing the equals true. Now it looks like it says if this is true, but it's not necessary. So I'm going to leave mine out. Okay, so slime not dot active, then we're going to do some stuff. If slime isn't active, then it's going to skip all this code and it's going to come down here. So the slime doesn't exist yet, hasn't been active. We're going to create a slime. But we're only going to create a slime if a certain button is pressed. And I'm going to use Z. If we look back at our key map here, the A button corresponds to Z on the keyboard and to the key press of, or the button of 4. So in my code, I can look for a button press of 4. So we're going to look for button 4, oh, and button press. So I'm looking for, was it pressed? Not, is it being held down? Button press of 4. Then we want to make sure that we know that the sprite has been created. So I'm going to do slime dot active equals true. And then I want to set where the slime is being created. And there's two possibilities. If Blobby, or the player, is going to the right, I want it to be created at the right-hand side. And if it's going left, I want it to be created at the left-hand side. So we're going to do another if inside this if, right? So we're going to do if blobby is going right, so that would be blobby dot the velocity, and if it's going right, it's going to be a positive number, so greater than 0. Okay. So if blobby is going right, then the slime's position, so the regular x position of the slime, is going to be blobby's x position. And I could just leave it as the slime's x and y position is blobby's x and y position, and that might be fine. But depending on how it draws, it's possible that the slime would be either in front of blobby or behind blobby. So I'm going to go ahead and create the slime to the outside of blobby. So we have slime.x equals blobby.x. So if we're thinking about blobby and we're thinking about the right-hand side of blobby, we want to move our slime 8, or I'm going to do 9, just a little extra pixels to the right. So the x value plus 9. And then very similar, x equals blobby dot x minus 9. Okay, and then, an end before I forget. And then for the y value, it can be just the same height as blobby. It'll just be equal height there. So blobby dot y, slime dot y equals blobby dot y, period. All right, so this section is creating, well, this whole section is kind of creating the slime and setting its initial values. There's one more thing that we actually need to do, and that is grab blobby's velocity as the slime is being created. Because if blobby is changing direction, we don't want the slime to change direction as well, but we do want to match the direction of the original, blobby's original direction. So we're actually going to go all the way up to the top. I'm going to grab the TIC function here. And then, I was already there. I'm going to add another variable to the slime, and that's just going to be Vx. I'm going to set it to 0 at first. Okay, so the x velocity, which is the sideways speed, is going to start out as 0. Okay. There we go. Throw slime. Okay, so we're going to mark the slime as active and initialize, which is just a fancy word for set the value. So we're going to initialize the velocity. So here we're going to do slime.vx. We're going to grab blobby.vx. Okay, later we're going to come back and update this just slightly. You know, I was talking about it looks a little bit weird if blobby and the slime are going the exact same speed, but we'll just keep it this way for a sec. All right, next, let's talk about if the slime already exists, how do we make it move? And we want to add or increment slime.x by its velocity. So add the velocity to the original value, the original x value, so that's moving by the velocity amount every time. So slime.x equals the original slime.x, and then we're going to add, we called it slime.vx. So that'll take the velocity, whether it's positive or negative, and change the original slime value by that much. All right, so then let's check to see if the slime is still on the screen. So if slime.x is, so what I'm going to do is instead of check whether it's off the screen, I'm going to check whether it's on the screen and then draw it if it's still on the screen. If it's not still on the screen, it just won't get drawn. All right, so if slime.x is greater than or equal to 0, or either one of these can be true, or if slime.x is less than or equal to, our right hand screen value was 240, but we're using 232 instead. Okay, so I'm gonna then, so if it's between those two values, then we're gonna draw the slime. And to draw the slime, we need our SPR, so that's drawing a sprite. And we can, if we forgot how to use this, we can always look at the documentation, or we can look back up in Blobby. Okay, so the sprite number comes first, and then the X value, and then the Y value of where we want to draw the sprite. So I've already forgotten what my sprite number was. It is 320. So let's go find where that is. Sprite 320, and then the place that I want to draw it is at slime.x, slime.y. So here I want to do an else. So if the slime is on the screen, then, then I want to go ahead and draw the slime. And if the slime is not on the screen, so otherwise, I want to set the flag back to inactive. So the slime.active flag, I want to set it back to false, and that will allow me to fire another slime again. Okay, that was a lot of code without testing it. Let's see. Oh, I already caught an error. This one needs an end. I have an if, else if, and end. Okay, and my end. Okay, I think we're probably good. Let's test it and see if I get any errors. Oh, all right. Oh, you know what? I bet this means that I didn't have a comma. So it's talking about this bracket at line 14, and I know that's pretty high up where my blobby and slime tables are. Blobby, slime, yep, see right here, forgot a comma. So it's saying it was expecting something to do with these brackets because I didn't do this, so that it thought there was the end of the table there. So it's a little bit of a misleading error, but that's kind of what that means. Okay, let's see if I get any other errors. Ooh, nice. Okay, so back and forth. I can jump, sort of. Okay, let's see if the Z works. Oh, there it is. All right, see how I'm just chasing the slime? And if I change direction, the slime will keep going. But as long as we're going the same direction, it seems kind of silly to be going the same speed. If I go the other direction, let's just test that. Uh-oh. My left hand firing is not working, so I'm going to need to take a look at that. My right hand, oh, actually both of them are not working. So it looks like I have something wrong with my flag setting, as well as the velocity problem. So let's go back down to throw slime. So first let's fix the easy problem, and then I'll think about the harder problem. Where did it go? Here. Okay, so initializing the velocity right here. Instead of having the two velocities be the exact same, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this velocity by something. I don't want to add or subtract because I don't know which direction it's going. So if I added, I might actually be slowing the slime down instead of speeding it up. So I want to do a multiplier instead. So I'm going to multiply it by And that's the multiplier. It looks like an X on the screen, but it's actually the asterisk, which is Shift 8. And I'm going to do 1.5. I tested it out and I feel like that's a pretty good velocity. Okay, let's test that and then I'll think about what's going wrong with the other code and I'll come back and we'll see what's going on there. I should have tested the other direction. See how it was like outdistancing the character? Yeah, see, I can't fire anymore. Okay, I'm going to think about what's going wrong there and I will be back. All right, I figured out how to fix it. So right now we're testing if the slime is on the screen, and what I did to fix it was test if the slime is off the screen first and then only draw the slime if that is false. So let me show you what that looks like. So first we're going to take and switch these around, switch the less than and greater than, so that instead of testing whether we are greater than 0 and less than 232 so that we're on the screen, we're going to test that we are outside. So if we're negative or less than 0, or if we're farther than 232. And then we're going to move the drawing of the sprite into the else, because we're only going to draw it if this is false. So then let me finish this code here. Okay, so then I moved the slime active equals false. So check if slime is off screen. Let's say that. So if the slime is off screen, which means it's further to the left or further to the right than we want, then we are going to deactivate the slime. So that will allow us to then make another slime, potentially, if we hit the Z button again. If the slime is not off the screen, then it must be on the screen. So we are going to draw the slime. All right, so let's test this out. So we have the guy here. There it goes, and there it goes. And I'm hitting Z multiple times. I can't fire another slime until that slime is off the screen. Because right now, if I was to try to allow it to fire another slime, it would replace the first slime. So it'd be like the first slime disappears and my character could fire a different slime that replaces the other slime. So, again, in another lesson, we'll learn how to add more than one of the same type of object to the screen. All right, so that's it for this lesson. Oh, let's save before I forget. This is lesson 6. Yes. I'm pretty sure I did this. Lesson 6, okay. And in the next lesson, we are going to talk about animating sprite costumes. Different animations for running versus walking versus idle versus jumping or whatever. But we'll talk more about that next time. All right, so we'll see you in the next video.